Hi, everybody. We are Cindy Lewis and Sandie Orlando, your two coaches for CL Performance Training and your two co-race directors for the Endurance Event Productions race series. At CL Performance Training, we develop training programs for runners, triathletes, cyclists, anyone who does an endurance sport. And then we work with them, coaching them along the way to make sure that we help them reach whatever their own personal goal might be. So today we wanted to talk about training as an aging athlete. If you go out on the internet and start reading training advice, you'll find that most of it actually applies to people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about how you train, how you recover, how you feel, changes as you get kind of out of those age categories. And something that I just learned today is what age you actually become a master's athlete. So I've been a master's athlete and running for like 10 years already, and I didn't even know it. So master's athletes in running are over 35 and in triathlon are over 40, which is really interesting to find out. So anyways, Sandie here is going to talk about her own experience as an endurance athlete kind of lifelong, and how things have changed for her from the time she started until now. So Sandie, I don't know if you're everyone how old you are. No one's going to believe you.
I actually surprised myself the other day by realizing I'm 63. I'll be turning 64 this year. So, yeah, definitely fitting into the category of aging athlete, which surprises me a little bit.
Well, we both like to pretend we're 25, but every so often we realize that we're not. And that's because we get an ache or a pain or something that just lasts a little bit longer than it used to.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it, but reality. So ask away.
So Sandie, talk a little bit about like what things have you noticed kind of change as years have gone by with yourself as a runner, as a triathlete?
Mm-hmm. I think I would say a lot more injury, more prone to injury, and weird ones though, like cartilage type things, my knees and shoulders, and and just not being able to go as fast. So I don't have the ability to bound quickly. I always realized that we used to be able to just run across the street between, when cars were coming, not at a crosswalk, and not feel worried about that or not hesitate. And so that explosive strength is not there so much anymore. And I think just overall energy, just having the energy to get up and do the stuff, 2 workouts in a day, and survive that.
Yeah.
So, and those are probably the biggest changes.
So when we talk about like different injuries that have come up, I think it's important to talk about, when something does come up, what do you do? Do you have to stop everything because, you have a sore wrist or a sore neck, or do you have to change what it is you're doing and do something in a different way?
A lot of it's about adaptation. So, when you start to get arthritis in your thumbs, which is something that I've been battling for a while. So a lot of it was about changing my bike fit, or changing what I'm doing. Maybe I can't do push-ups anymore, but I have to do strength work that doesn't require me to push so much on my thumbs. And also just, some of the things to mitigate it. So, rubs, Voltaren on the thumbs, or braces just to keep them strengthened, and a lot of grip strength. For that. And with knees, oh man, that's been an ongoing thing. Every time I try to start being a runner again, then I have another issue with the knees. So a lot of that is focusing on strength so that I don't go into that problem in the first place. And, sometimes you just have to wear a knee brace, or, run on the treadmill so that you don't catch yourself out there, 20 or not 20, I'm not even doing 20. You get out for an hour and realize, oh my God, I'm walking it back in because my knees are just complaining too much. Also the weather, I'm finding that the wet weather is a bit of an issue. I love it when it's dry. I wish I could be living in Arizona and right there.
Yeah.
Because some of those things are starting to really become, noticeable.
And I think like a key thing there is like an injury doesn't mean you have to stop, because continuing on is going to keep you stronger, keep you younger, keep you going in a healthy way for longer than avoiding anything because something hurts. So, if you have a sore knee running, and you do some stretches and your knee brace doesn't quite help enough, then you can go on your bike and you can cycle more, right? Or you can get in the pool, or you can go to your gym and do some strength to kind of keep your exercising going and keep your body healthy and keep your training moving forward, but not work too hard on the things that are bugging you.
Yeah, like
Um,
pool running has really become something that I've learned to like.
yep.
Weirdly, everybody hates pool running and treadmill running, but that's you have to use your time differently, and most of it's about acceptance. If you can't accept where you are, that's the hardest part. So when you can accept it and then just find another way to go about it so that you don't stop, I think
Yeah.
that's huge. And I think that counts for people who are aging, but also if you're just injured or if you've had an illness or a big life-changing situation. It takes a while to go through the grieving part, but got to find another way to carry on
Yeah.
doing something different.
And I always think it's better, like, I say this like when I see patients as a chiropractor, like I'd rather see someone with a sore hip because they were active that I need to kind of work on an ongoing basis than see someone with a back pain that they have because they gain too much weight from sitting in a chair too much, right? So you're better off working with your body, and kind of continuing on as with those modifications than stopping everything altogether.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. And the weight gain is, we're talking postmenopausal now, and that's one of the things that really shocked me in the past couple of years, and I really had to get my head around it, was the fact that your hormones change. And this just happens. It's like I can't even believe when I get on the scales. I don't have a baby in me anymore, and I haven't weighed that much since when I was carrying my kids. So that's a huge, huge thing, both physically and mentally, because now you're trying to run, carrying more weight, and getting. And I think that probably contributes to some of the difficulty of with the knees and all the rest of it. But just psychologically, because when you've been an athlete all your life and you're used to having your body a certain way, and now all of a sudden you're having to throw out all your running clothes and go to another size that you never envisioned yourself wearing. It's like, oh my God, that's really hard. That is really hard. And that can really take you out for a while until you kind of accept and go, okay, this is what it is. What can we do now with what I've got and my new stuff?
and like for anyone who knows Sandie, like to me, if I can be just like Sandie when I'm 63 or 64, like that would be amazing, you know?
It will
So
be.
the rest of us kind of look in and we're saying, oh my God, like you're so fit, and nobody sees that weight gain or, any of that. So I think, it's okay to kind of know that people on the outside don't you see yourself the same way as you might. So anyway, she's like one of the fittest ladies that I know. The fittest lady that I know at 63 or 64, whatever it is you said you were. I still don't believe it. You're 29. Um, so have you noticed that like recovery changes? You talked about maybe you can't fit in the 2 workouts a day anymore. What do you notice, when
Yeah.
it comes
Well, motivation to do it is harder to come by. You can plan to get up and do your morning workout, and by the time 4 o'clock or noon hits, you're sort of going, kind of prefer to have a nap. I sort of need a nap. And going day after day after day, often you need an extra recovery day in order to really get the mojo back for that. So that's kind of the biggest thing. But also how physically my body has changed, so that, for example, riding on the bike, there are a lot of changes that happen, particularly for women. I can't speak for the guys, but your body changes down there. So riding on that saddle poses other challenges for me now, and like sometimes you need a day to heal.
Yeah, and you gotta laugh at yourself too sometimes.
Yeah,
Because
I mean
that's
everybody goes through
right.
chafing
Yeah,
and
that's what I mean.
things like that, but sometimes you have to find a different way to mitigate those things, and also what you can actually wear at the gym, like because of everything changing, it doesn't kind of look the same. So you have to figure out ways to be a little more modest.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, you do coach a number of athletes who are in the same kind of age category as you. How do you structure their schedules versus, someone who might be 35 or 45? What are the differences and different considerations?
Mm-hmm. Um, I think first of all, we need to make sure that we understand all of what they're doing, because sometimes when an older athlete, particularly someone who's retired, gets involved in other activities for social, and which is really important, and doesn't bother with the strength work, which is very important. So we need to sort of figure out, okay, I'm going to be spending your time playing pickleball. How does that support what your goals are for your training? If they are, if they've been a lifelong athlete and they're still running or doing triathlon, then it's a little easier. But somebody who's looking for some support, um, just staying fit, for example, rather than, or just participating, but rather than worrying about being competitive. We really have to pay attention to just how much recovery they need and how much rest they need, but also how many other activities. If somebody's got a dog and they're walking their dog twice a day, that has to count against your energy expenditure. So it may not be a workout, but it's still going to count. So we have to really look at the entire life cycle or lifestyle of somebody
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm. Do you find that you talk to, we talk to all of our athletes, I suppose, about recovery, like sleep and nutrition and all the rest. But do you find that you talk to older athletes a little bit more about it?
Yeah, especially when there are concerns around any kind of injuries and that sort of thing. You end up talking about that, but also let's get realistic about what we can do now and what the goals are. So we all have muscle memory. We all remember what it felt like to be able to run. You see people running by and you think, I used to look like that. I used to feel like that. And so getting realistic about whether or not you can actually do those sprints anymore, if that's worthwhile doing, or if we're going to just peel it back and make sure that you just got some, enough tempo work so that you've got your, the ability to do your race pace, but let's be realistic about what your race pace is.
Well, yeah.
Now,
And that's the next question I have is like, even being an athlete myself that has been injured, quite a few times and needing to come back, like it's very hard to look at your watch and your pace when you're running and kind of realize what you could do last year that you can't do this year. Um, how do you talk to somebody about that? Like, I hope to be able to run this year as fast as I could last year, but I'm never going to run as fast as I could when I was 20, right?
yeah.
So how do you address that, and what are your suggestions on how to kind of overcome that problem?
Well, first of all, one of the downsides is you can't see your damn watch anymore. So constantly checking your watch is like, well, that's useless. I can't see the numbers anymore. So some of that takes care of itself. So, we talk about going right perceived effort, and just saying, okay, listen, what you did before, that's great that you were able to do it. Let's worry about what your goals are. So if your goal is to finish upright and smiling, versus I want to be third in my age group versus I want to do time. So we have to look at just what the outcome goal really should be, and maybe it needs to change a little bit. I don't know that you're going to get a personal best by training harder, but maybe you can get a personal best for this age category, north of 50 or something like that, and go for that. And if it's doesn't turn out to be that, well, what's the next best goal? Getting through your training without being injured, or being able to do a half marathon and then go 3 weeks later and do another half marathon because you're traveling, right? So that's the kind of stuff that we're looking at.
So one of the things you mentioned as we were chatting just before getting on here is kind of being shocked, surprised, unhappy about some of the things that you read about
Oh, yeah.
being an older athlete versus reality. Talk a little bit about some of those things.
Yeah. So a lot of what we're reading in the running media is really geared towards, of course, which makes sense, the largest demographic, which at this point is 30 to 50, perhaps, in that age category, and or younger. And we're looking at, for example, the pros in triathlon, and everybody wants to emulate, what's going on there. And it's really written for younger people who are looking to get faster and stronger, and increase their ability and go longer and that sort of thing. And it's kind of disheartening because I feel left out of the whole conversation. And then when you start to read information about, when people who are aging, aging athletes, it's like, oh my God, you're still doing this, or oh, just be careful, and it's not really allowing you to push yourself anymore. So there's not much motivation to keep you doing that. I mean, the people who are still competing in Ironman at this age and older are really the outliers. The people who are still running marathons at this age are probably the skinny guys or guys who've never been injured, and they just happen to be lucky and they've never stopped. So for people who are sort of all over the place and fighting all these different things, you really need a different kind of motivation. And a lot of it has to come maybe from inside. I don't know, because you're not going to find a lot of that support externally in the general public anymore. There's a lot of, oh, watch out for this and that, or it's all about, if you're looking at information for dealing with hormones when you're menopausal, it's always for the perimenopausal women, not for once you're done and what's going to happen to you after that. You're not going to get that information very easily.
It's also like I find at any age you've got the general population looking at someone who runs saying, why would you do that? That's hard on your body, or that's hard on your knees, or whatever. And that is not true. It's harder on your body to not run than it is to run. So, as you get older, that stuff just gets more and more in your face, right? But I know that like at our races that we put on, when I'm doing the awards, for example, and I call up these athletes in the 70 plus category or even 80 plus category, they can hop up on that podium and they look amazing. They can do it just as well as we can, as long as you just take care of your body. And like the things that you said, like modify what you're doing based on what's happening with your body, you can keep going.
Yeah.
They probably ran a whole lot faster when they were 30, but that's not what the point is when you're in those categories. The point is to keep going, keep doing what you love, stay in the community that you're in, that you love being in, and keep doing what you can.
Yeah, and believe that. I think a lot of it is having an attitude where it's like, you know what, I know what I have done in the past, and I can carry that forward with me. I've done these things, and I know I can if I really want to apply myself, but I have to be realistic about where to apply it, I guess. So pick my battles.
I always think about you, Sandie, are the perfect coach for someone who is an aging athlete, which I guess we all are, but anyone who's, in the 50 plus categories that are continuing on in endurance sport, you're the person that they should talk to. You're the person to help them design their program, their training program, their recovery plan, talk to them about what they're going through. Because I don't think that someone who's 25 or 30, who's kind of putting up their sign saying they're a triathlon or running coach, would have any idea what to do with that type of athlete. So I think it's important that, people know that they should call you.
Well, I think it's a different approach, right? So a lot of it's about listening and appreciating their life story, and appreciating that we're not looking to make you, the winner of the whole thing. We're not going after that. And that's, I mean, you're great with that. You've been there with your own career, and you're still continuing to really push hard. And after a while, somebody who needs a little more, maybe gentler support.
Even at this age, I still, my body can't do the same things as it used to do. And it's almost 45. And, when it was 30, it could do a lot more than it can now before it gets hurt and injured. And, you just can't anymore. So,
but it's also a lifestyle too. I mean, you've got 2 young kids, you've got, everybody's all over the place. You've got dogs, kids, the whole thing, the way that your life is set up.
Things. Yeah.
And my life is a little bit quieter. I think a lot of people think that, retired athletes, they've got all the time in the world to train. Not true, because I'm taking care of a mom who's, who needs support, and we're taking care of different things. And sometimes there are a lot of health appointments I have to go to. So it doesn't exactly, I'm not retired yet. I don't plan on it, but it
You can't
certainly
retire.
can, yeah. but
Hate to break it to you.
yeah, I can't retire. I'm not allowed. But not interested in it. But my lifestyle is different. But it just, I'm not able to get myself up at 4:30 in the morning to go and do a run and get back and whatever. I'm sort of going, okay, I've got, first of all, a partner who is also working and doesn't appreciate that I'm doing this, because they're not necessarily in sync with me anymore on that, which is too bad, but working on that one. But, just different lifestyles, and you need to kind of figure out just what you can do with that.
So how do people reach out to you if they have any questions about this topic?
Okay, so they can reach out to clperformancetraining@gmail.com. So that's your email, or they can reach me at, I guess, Sandie.
At clperformancetraining.com.
Yeah, I don't even know, is that one still working? But either way, you can reach out to us, or through the CL Performance Training website,
Yeah.
and then get in touch with us, which is clperformancetraining.com. Right.
Yep. So yeah, go to the website. There's a web form you can contact us through, or you can email us at clperformancetraining@gmail.com. Or you can try and get Sandie yourself at Sandie@clperformancetraining.com. So we look forward to hearing from you guys. Please, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And also feel free to reach out if you have a topic that you'd like us to cover that we haven't covered yet on our YouTube channel. And make sure you follow our YouTube channel. We have all kinds of great content to share with you guys. So happy training, and have a great rest of your day.